Hi guys, Saint here, and I want to do the patch 5.4 rundown, so let's get started. They did a bug fix to Azir, but they nerfed the living crap out of him last patch. Nobody plays him, and he has a terrible win rate. It's like 30 something percent. It's like, I don't even want to know what it is. It's so bad now. He's unplayable. So who cares about this change? So let's go to Janna, the next changes. They removed Janna's movement speed on her passive, and now they gave her sort of a captain boots kind of deal, where as people move towards Janna, they'll move faster, but once they go past Janna, they're not going to move any faster. And the big change for this just makes it to where Janna can't run people down. Like, Janna is really dangerous in the fact that once she counter engages on you, or like counters your hard engage, she relentlessly runs you down, and there's no way to get away from her. And her whole team just moves super fast. And on top of that, she also allows teams to engage if you do have like engaged champions, like like Vi, Lissandra, Rumble, like any of these champions that are going to benefit from movement speed and closing in on people. So Janna's going to be more of a for defensive champion rather than an offensive champion with this. And it says this all in this little thing right here, but just to clarify that. In the W, they made it to where they basically transferred the passive's movement speed onto the W as you put points in it. So that's not really too much of a change with Janna's overall movement speed in general. Jarvan, they basically nerfed him into the ground. It doesn't sound like much. You're like, oh boy, they gave him 3 armor. That's gonna be nice. And they fixed the bug where you could like sometimes randomly knock people up after he's already done his dash. But this is the big kicker. They nerfed Jarvan's E to where it no longer gives him armor. And I think, what is it, like 20 something armor at max rank, like 22. And it's 10 armor at level 1. So now Jarvan will have 7 less armor in his original clear, which is going to really, 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 really hurt his early clears in the jungle. And his early game is going to be devastated because of it. And then also his mid and late game are going to really be hurt by that as well. I'm sure, like, he could still be played, but, like, depending on how bad his early clears are now, like, I don't even know if anybody's even going to play him anymore. I have to, like, play around with him some and see how he feels. But I feel like Jarvan's early clears are going to be hurt way too much, and you're going to have to be chugging a lot of potions or build for sustain, like keep the Rangers or something like that. Yeah, I mean, he'll still be really great late game champion, but I don't know. I don't like this change. I feel like they over nerfed him by removing the armor on the E. Like, that's a pretty big stat change on him. Next champion, Kalista. Kalista's basic attacks wind up the timer between starting an attack and it firing. Now speeds up at 66% of her attack speed rather than 100%. Let me just, she's unable to command slow her basic attacks once committed, increasing her basic attack wind-up. May not sound like much, but it does emphasize her vulnerability at every stage of the game, making her take more time to launch her spears and by extension, hurricane hop you to death. Yeah, I guess like Kalista is going to be a little bit easier to catch with this change, just because of like the way that she can start her hops up and like change directions is going to be a little bit slower, but I don't think this is going to be that big of a nerf. I still think when she gets a lot of attack speed going, when she has like that Blade of the Ruined King and she has Hurricane going, she's still going to have more than enough attack speed to still just kite you around and beat you into the ground. But I definitely think before she gets her items, like before she has that Hurricane, before she has that Blade of the Ruined King, you'll notice the change on this. She'll still be a really good champion though. Kassadin, they nerfed the Riftwalk range to 450, which is basically flash range, and they lowered the base mana cost to 60, which is 15 mana lower. I think that Kassadin is probably going to be pretty garbage after this, mainly because like when you play against Kassadin, his 1 through 6 is like pretty weak, and you have to just like tough out the lane. You're like, yeah, when I get 6, I'll fuck you up. And the moment you hit 6 to Kassadin, basically the threat range for him is almost the entire lane. Like if you walk up to him in lane, he can rift walk on you and like QE you, like he could slow you, he could start damaging you from like across the whole lane. And it becomes a real threat. And what this does is it makes it to where the threat range on Kassadin in general, as you walk into lane, is going to be almost non-existent. And also, Kassadin in team fights, it's going to be really hard to get on the back line if only you can close the distance of 450 range. So it makes Kassadin's only option in team fights is to flank rather than just jumping head in on somebody. Yeah, your positioning has to be smarter with Kassadin now, but I think his windows of opportunity for like what he can do are going to be too low, and I don't think he's going to be seeing much play anymore. He's probably dead and off the map. Katarina, I think this is like this is a pretty this actually could be a pretty big nerf. Like, I actually play a little bit Katarina top, a little bit Katarina mid. And there's a lot of times when you get into a team fight and you come in like secondary to the team fight and you drop all your damage. And there's always that one asshole who gets away with like 150 life or some shit like that. And then like a couple seconds later, they'll randomly get picked off or they'll die to like a tick of ignite or something random like that. And then you'll get your reset and you can just start going in on the fight really hard. But I think this closes that window down quite a bit. And it makes it to where Katarina's re-engage is a little bit worse. I mean, you'll still be able to, like, if you start snowballing Katarina and you get enough damage to just, like, pop people, she's still going to be the same Katarina. Still going to do a ton of fucking damage and be really scary. But as it moves into the late game, when people start to get Banshees and, like, Crucible and, like, things that disallow people to instantly be popped by Katarina, I think that this change is going to show. But I still think she'll be pretty much the same type of champion. She has just a little bit less window to kill people. Lysandra fixed a bug where Glacial Path end marker could be hidden under terrain even if it was supposed to be visible. This is where you're shooting your E through like bushes and things like that, or over walls. Sometimes the E would disappear, and you could trick people into thinking that they're safe, and guess what? You just E on top of them and kill them. So this is actually a pretty good bug fix. I wish they would nerf Lysandra more. This is just a bug fix in general. I hope that they nerf her next patch. I feel she's too strong. She's strong in the mid and strong in the top. And it's really dangerous when a champion is strong in both mid and top lane, because it makes it really hard to pick against her, especially in solo queue where 9 times out of 10 you're not going to be picking last. So definitely think that she needs more nerfs than this. She's still way too powerful. Alright, so Mordekaiser changes. These are some really weird changes, and I like read through them a couple times, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about them. They lowered Mordekaiser's base health regen by 5, so down to 3.37, but in turn, all of his abilities, they made the health that they cost lower. So I think that's going to even out in some way. I don't know. I'm not really sure how much, like, the 5 health regen is going to hurt him in lane, because I mean, I don't really play a lot of Mordekaiser, like, who does besides, you know, like Brazilians or something. But, yeah. I don't know. The Mace of Spades now grants 75 attack range, so he has a little bit more range now. Like, Mordekaiser before, when he, like, tried to Q you, you had to be, like, right on top of the person to actually hit them, and you just get kited around. It was really frustrating. So now his thread on his Q is going to be a little bit longer. I actually like that. It allow you to actually be... It's basically the change between Nasa's Q, and when he's, like, ultied and when he's not ultied. Or a little bit, somewhere in between there. So that's like more of a quality of life change. And then they, you know, made the health cost and the abilities lower. This is the big change that I actually really like about all this, is the W change. So now you can put your W on somebody, and then you'll also get the W. So it's almost like a blood boil, like a new blood boil. And then on top of that, you get 60 bonus movement speed when you're running towards each other. So if you like throw it on a carry or a tank or something like that, or even like a minion, like a creep, you can use it to gain a lot of distance, like a lot of movement, and get on top of your target. And on top of this, W actually has really good armor and magic resist stats. So this is going to allow Mordekaiser the option of throwing a W on like a carry, and then moving towards that carry and using your full combo to defend that carry. So I feel like Mordekaiser's main role in a team fight now is going to be Wing carries, and then using his full damage combo to kill whoever goes, like kill the tank or whoever who goes on your carry. And then after that, you push forward and like try to clean up the fight after that. I don't think that Mordekaiser is going to be a champion that is really designed to pop squishies as much as he was before, because that was like the whole dynamic behind Mordekaiser before. It was like, I hope I can kill their AD carry, I hope I can kill their AP carry. Now he's going to be more benefited from actually like helping your team out and all that mess. I mean, yeah, the W does less damage now, but I think it has a lot more utility with it. And then the Children of the Grave, they actually nerfed the amount of ability power, because this is 20% of their attack damage and ability power, so that's total. And they changed it to be 25% of their bonus health and their ability power. So bonus health is like not that much. If you like that's another reason I say that Mordekaiser is better suited now for killing people or diving in on your carries, because like AD carries and AP carries generally don't really build that much bonus health. I mean, yeah, they have, like, if you kill their AP carry, sure, they'll have, like, some ability power. But I think it's just still going to be better suited for killing tanks. And this is another thing that I say on this is, yeah, enslaved champions no longer gain 25% of Mordekaiser's ability power. That's not really that big a deal anyways. Enslaved champions gain, yeah, 25, 50, and 100 attack damage as bonus. So let's say you, like, a Vi ulties in on your Caitlyn. You kill the Vi. The Vi is going to get 100 flat attack damage increase. And, like, usually in competitive play, Vi's don't really build, you know, a lot of attack damage. So, and neither does Mordekaiser. So 75% of total attack damage. That'll probably, you know, that'll probably end up being like the same amount of attack damage at the end of the day, because it's total attack damage for Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser probably has like what 115 AD or something like that in game. So this is actually a nerf. Damn. Well, never mind. Mordekaiser just sucks. The only thing that they really did to him was buff his W and made it better to where it could be cast on people. I still think he's gonna be a crap champion, even after all these changes. I just like read over the whole ultimate. I was like, maybe this will work out with like this and that, and it's just like, nah. They just like nerf the ghost in all aspects, and the only real good thing you can do now is like give your carries armor and magic resist, which doesn't even really do that much anyways. So, damn it, Mordekaiser, why do you gotta suck so much? He's still a crap champion. And they removed the Bone Tooth Necklace of Rengar. Who cares? Like, whatever, that's nothing. Scatter the week, there's some complicated map below. Collision width of Dark Spears has been increased. I thought they like nerfed the width like 2 patches or 3 patches ago, and now I guess they're like increasing it again. So I'm not really sure what they're doing with the Syndra E. But she hasn't been really that popular since they nerfed the Q like 2 or 3 patches ago anyways. So I'm not too sure how I feel about Syndra. I know not that many people like her, just because they nerfed the Q, and that kind of like weakened out her lane phase a lot. I don't think she'll become that much more popular in the new patches. Yeah, I don't know about that. Big Vigar rework, which was kind of funny because he just, you know, kind of debuted in the LCS, like Elimination was playing him. And I think that these changes, like, just murder the support Vigar. And specifically because of the reason of this, the event Horizon now has a 0.75 second delay before appearing. So that means you, like, drop it, and then for, like, almost a full second later, it's like, bloop, I'm here now. So it makes it a lot easier to outplay the ability, and a lot harder to catch people who are like running away. I mean, 0.75 seconds is not that long, but it definitely hurts support Vigar in a lot of ways. I mean, yeah, the cooldown's shorter. It's 14 seconds. That's not that much, and the range is a little bit longer. But 0.75 seconds, that gives a lot of room for outplay on Vigar. And then to basically justify that, they made it to where the Q now has 850 range, and it's like a line, like almost like a Lux. Like a Lux bind or whatever, where it'll hit the first target and then it'll rail through them and then hit the next target. And one of the benefits of this is that you can get the passive on Vigar, like you can get double AP bonuses like on the kills. So you can kill 2 targets with your Q and get even more AP on Vigar. So you'll be able to ramp your AP up a lot faster, which might actually help out a little bit with the fact that they took DFG out of the game. But I think the DFG removal kind of like, it's like a kick in the nuts to Vigar. It really limited his burst damage and his ability to kill people. Alright, then W, they lowered the mana cost on it, and they made the cooldown lower, which doesn't really matter too much because you don't really use W that often without stunning somebody, just because it's so hard to hit on somebody who's like aware that it's coming at them. I mean, yeah, W has an amazing AP ratio, and it does a ton of damage, and it's really great AoE, really great wave clear, so he'll have that going for him. But it's still really hard to hit that W unless you hit this E, and now the E is harder to hit than ever. They also lowered the ability power ratio on his ultimate, and they lowered the mana cost at higher ranks, and they made the cooldown shorter. I don't really think that justifies anything. The overall burst from it in general is going to be lower, and with the removal of GFG and the lowered ability power ratio on the ultimate, it's just going to make it that much harder to kill somebody who has a little bit of magic resist with Vigar. So I think that they might be heading towards the right direction with all these changes, but I don't think that they have the numbers right on Vigar yet. And I think he's not going to be that good next patch. Maybe in the patch after or the patch after that, but not in this one. Xerath, they lowered the maximum stun duration by ½ second, and I think that's pretty good because I don't know if you guys have ever been stunned by a Xerath, but if he stuns you and then like QW Qs you or QW ulties you or like does anything to you. You're just like sitting there with your thumb up your ass, like, well, damn it. It's like getting hit by a Morg bind, you know? Like, and on top of that, if somebody has a Xerath, like, Morg's really popular with Xerath as well. So you, like, hit somebody at the Morg, the Xerath stun, or you hit somebody at the Morg bind, and then the Xerath stun, and you just, like, stack these super long time, like, stun duration, yeah, like, they just get stunned forever. Like, screw it, dude. I hate being perma-stunned, man. Like, I'm playing a tank over here. I got tenacity and everything, but it's still too damn long. And this is going to make it to where if Xerath catches you out of max range, you have at least a little bit of chance of surviving. And you can still get your full damage rotation off in 1.75 seconds. The real difference in this is going to be that you can QW somebody with Xerath, and then they're going to have the chance to run away as you ulti them. Like, there's a small, you know, like a quarter of a second where you're, like, charging up your ultimate and you shoot them. And I think that by lowering the stun duration on this, it's going to give you a little bit more time to actually be able to run away from that. So you might be able to actually survive Xerath all in now. I really like these Zilean changes that I'm seeing here, though. I like this rework I'm looking at. They increased Zilean's base armor, so you can actually scrap a little bit more in lane. And they lowered his attack range, which is fine, because Zilean already had, like, one of the longest attack ranges in the game. It was, like, ridiculously long. And then they just, like, cleaned up the attack in general. And then this is the big change. They made the time bomb. It's now, like, a skill shot. Like, you, like, chuck it at somebody, and then it, like, attaches to either an ally or an enemy. And then, if you put 2 bombs on the same target, before it would just like blow up and do a lot of damage. And now what it does is a 1.5 second AoE stuns everybody. Like that is pretty fucking nasty, giving somebody a 1.5 second stun with that much damage behind it. It has 900 range, which is a lot. That's like almost the whole lane. And on top of that, it's still 300 base damage with a 0.8 ratio. So if you have some AP backing this up, you can really blow people up, and this can be a real game changer in the team fight. And it also only has an 8-second cooldown now, so you don't always have to rewind to like, once you have some CDR, I think you can, if you just like throw the Q and then while it's traveling, you like throw another one or whatever, like a closer range, I'm pretty sure you could somehow like get the double Q on them without popping it, because it's still like a 3-second bomb delay. I don't know, I'm not sure the math on it, but I'm sure you can do it. And just the fact of giving Zilean a stun, an AoE stun, is just, it's going to make him like a lot more viable in the team, as opposed to like, before he's just like, wow, damn, they just like brought that guy back to life and he's slowing people. Like, that's pretty annoying. But you give that champion a stun on top of that, like, that's super annoying. Rewind no longer reduces the cooldown of Chrono Shift. I don't know if you guys remember, but Zilean could rewind over and over and over again in a team fight, and you could basically ultimate 2 times in one team fight if you had enough CDR. And to go with that, they lowered the cooldown on Chrono Shift to 60 seconds at max rank. So if you have a good deal of CDR, it's basically going to be the same cooldown on Rewind in general. And then they also made the Chrono Shift, it lasts a little bit shorter. So the window where you're safe with the ultimate on you is going to be a lot shorter. So you have to play around that, and there's going to be a lot more counterplay to the Zilean itself. The Time Warp, they cut the slow in half, which I agree with, because you can't give somebody a 5.5 second slow that you can rewind and do again over and over and over again, while also giving them a 1.5 second stun. Like, that would just be too much. Like, he would just lock you up for days. But they also lowered the cooldown by 15 seconds, so if you rewind, you can do it back to back pretty much if you have enough CDR. And they also made the mana cost on the ability lower as well. The hitbox on it is the edge of the opponent's hitbox. There should be around 75 range reduction, which varies depending on how fat this target is. I don't think the slow range matters that much, because it's basically the same range as Zilean's auto attack range anyways, so I think the slow range is going to be like not that much different. I think Zilean's going to be really great at being a peel in the mid and late game, and his laning phase is going to be greatly improved with these changes, and I definitely think you'll be seeing him as pop up as a support, and like maybe even as a mid laner in some cases. I'm not sure he'll do enough damage to be a mid laner, since it only has a 0.8 AP ratio, and his abilities are like not. It's probably gonna be pretty hard to pump out consistent damage on Zilean, seeing as his only damage ability is a skill shot. But I think he'll definitely be a great support next patch. Spell shields, they still haven't gotten it right. I'm not even gonna read this because they always say they fix spell shields, but they just, like, I swear to God, man, I see this in like every single patch. They're like, yep, we fixed spell shields this time. It's like, no, you didn't. Like, just don't fucking kid yourself. You didn't do it. Sweeping lens, cooldown at level 9, automatic upgrade. 60 seconds with the tooltip says 75. We're not crazy, people. So I guess it actually is 60 seconds. Okay, and they fixed the bug where Doran's shield wasn't blocking 8 single target spell damage. That's actually a pretty big change. Thing is how Doran's kind of like fell out of popularity. And then on top of that, there's a lot of AP champions that are becoming popular. And of course, you could like never buy Doran's shield in the mid lane before because this yeah, it just wasn't working. Like they built like the damage blocking wasn't working at all. So now maybe you'll see Doran's shield popping up on some the melee mid laners, like maybe like a Katarina. You'll see that a little bit more. But yeah, good that they fixed this bug after like so long. They took 5 damage off the warrior enchant, which is honestly not that big a deal because warrior was already incredibly cost efficient for what it does, and I don't mind this change at all. Like 5 damage is not that big a deal. Like it's 200 gold worth of stats, to be honest, which is actually kind of a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, having that extra 5 damage is not going to make the difference that often. ZZ Portal, nobody buys this fucking item, and nobody will ever buy this item, so who cares. Smite, they lowered the actual range of it to 500, the edge of the champion's hitbox, to the edge of the opponent's hitbox. So this basically makes it to where you can't just like roll up in a lane with chilling smite and be like, hey, and then just like chilling smite the guy from like halfway across the fucking screen, and then just like guaranteed hit your drive and EQ combo or like hit your abilities on him. Like the chilling smite is just brutal when you use that in the early game, especially if they have no flash. So I completely agree with this change, lowering the range on it. Was a little bit too strong. And this will also make it a little bit harder to smite steal objectives. So, yep. And then revive, a summoner spell has left the game. Who gives a shit? Nobody buys this or gets this spell without trolling their teammate where they go teleport revive. And they're like, I don't want to play this game. Like, I'm Teemo mid with teleport revive. Relative team colors is like an option thing. Who cares? Minions. Turns out we had our files sometimes. We're looking at now. Melee and caster minions now have 4 different animations based on how they die. Hooray! Alright, Dragon Scroll. These are all like just UI changes or whatever. Tooltips, bug fixes. Well, I guess that's it for the patch notes. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I kind of like rambled a lot this time because the changes were like so obscure. But yep, I'll see you guys next time.